Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to Building Power this week. And as y'all know, we here every Wednesday at noon. Apologies for getting a little bit of a late start, but we are here now. I'm excited today, and I guess y'all hear that every week, but I'm for real. Excited today. I got my boy, my friend, brother doctor. I call him brother doctor. Charles Cole in the building today. What's up, bro?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm better now. Look, we finally got all these technical difficulties out the way. We here.
Hey, that's what technology does. And let me know if I freeze or something. The show got to go on. If I got to reconnect on my iPad or something, we gonna get it in. It's the words that they here for. So I'm so happy to be here with you. You've been killing it.
Oh man, no, it's you, which is why I have to read this amazing bio, and I can't wait to really get into this with you, because I don't think that you and I have talked about this, but you and I have some similar like childhood experiences, and maybe we'll kind of talk about that, because what I appreciate about you, and it took me a longer time to do this, is that you include some of those experiences as a young man and as a child, and how it has shaped who you are today. And so I have later in life began to release the shame of that for myself and start to also use that in my own identity. So let me just read. This is I have to read this bio because it's beautiful, and I think it really gives the essence of who you are. So for my audience, again, this is Dr. Charles Cole III. He is an educator focused on the advancement of youth of color, but more specifically, Black males. As a mother of a Black male child and a daughter, I really resonate with that. His passion comes from his experience growing up without proper support, including being homeless and attending more than 10 elementary schools across the country while his parents battled addiction and incarceration. Throughout that experience, no adult, no group, no organization ever asked him how he was achieving success, nor how he was surviving. Schools were not a place where students in similar predicaments were learning. This experience helped lead him to the publication of his first book, Beyond Grit and Resilience. And we want to make sure we encourage folks to check that out. We'll put a link in the chat for people to go and take a look at that and purchase it. But he is also the founder of Energy Convertors. Charles comes from the community and has shared many of the students' experiences. Previously, Charles served as a social worker, a director at Teach for America, and vice chair of the California Young Democrats Black Caucus.
Long time ago.
I'm going to get you on that at director's level with various youth-focused nonprofits. So that's our brother. He's so much more. But I had to just really bring that part into the discussion, because I actually want to start there, if we can, Brother Charles. I had a similar experience growing up. We 80s babies, right? So we know what happened in Black communities in the 80s. While I wasn't in California, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. And
I was out Midwest too. So I was born in Chicago and I lived in Kentucky. So and I spent time in Ohio. Like we would have to go there for Six Flags.
Our experiences are so similar. So I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and spent the first 5 years of my life there. And both of my parents were also not really in my life. My father was in prison for reasons like that, the drug game, all types of other things that some Black men got into at that time. and that's not a, shame on him or anything like that, not shaming my parents, but they were certainly the product of what was happening at that time. As now we know, right, with the Iran Contra scandal and everything that has come out with those hearings. And shout out to Gary Webb, who was the actually a journalist who
and
broke the
RIP to
story.
Gary Webb. He was out the Bay.
RIP, right?
He was out the Bay Area, San Jose.
Exactly. I was definitely gonna get to that. So for people who don't know, check out Dark Alliance, Gary Webb, who basically broke the story that the government, Ronald Reagan's administration, was actually culpable for the crack cocaine that was pushed into Black communities that affected Charles and I, and so many other Black youth as kids. The crack tore up inner city Cleveland, Cincinnati, all these other cities across the country, and I was certainly impacted by that. And so a lot of folks know, like, well, I thought she was raised in Alabama. I was, by my great grandparents, because of that. My mother suffered from addiction as well, so I wasn't around with either one of my parents as well, and this certainly has shaped who I am, similar to how it has shaped you, Charles. I just want to allow you to just get in and just share anything else, that you want people to know about you, because number one, I'm so proud of you, right? So proud of you, and so proud of what you do with the young people that you're organizing with and helping to advocate with your organization, Energy Converters. Just hop on in and share more.
Yeah, no problem. Well, first off, thank you for having me. And I'm just a big Zakiya fan. And y'all gonna get tired of hearing me show her love, and maybe vice versa. But I just think she's super dope. And the way she just rides for Black people, the way she rides for her husband and her child, like her kids, like, I just love her, man. I even if we don't agree on something, I just love the way she kind of goes about it and the way she just moves. So just thank you for being you. You was one of the only voices I saw when they kept trying to pit Black men and Black women against each other, and you was like, "What are y'all doing? Like, this is not even real stuff."
I go in on that. I ain't with
you
that
like
gender
this,
war.
You like, this ain't even real life. Like, what are y'all talking about? We need each other.
That's right.
But I think you got it really well. I think a lot of my history I'm learning now as an adult. I didn't learn to an adult that I was born. I'm from the same neighborhood and community that Fred Hampton is from. That my grandmother used to watch that dude. And if you know that neighborhood in Maywood,
hold on. You just skipped over that. That's huge, right? Like, so the fact that your grandmother had some part in nurturing. You say she used to watch him. No, she helped nurture Fred.
So let me tell you, my grandmother and my great grandmother. So in Maywood is very small, but there's this high school called Proviso East. So Fred Hampton went to that school. My mother went to that school. My auntie went to that school. My aunt and my mother were best friends. My dad graduated from that school and he went to the military. And when he came back home, that's how he met my mother. Like, it's a lot of Doc Rivers, who coaches now, is from that neighborhood and that community. So that just so you know how Maywood is. And the first time it was mentioned was in the Fred Hampton, the Judas and the Black Messiah movie. That's the first time they said Maywood. But the funny thing is, so across the street in that same area, is where Mamie Till is from. So Mamie Till, Emmett Till's mother, like, that's the same community. So my great grandmother, my grandmother, Mamie Till, Fred Hampton's mom, all these people know each other, grew up together. And when from the stories that I've gotten, it was when that happened to Mamie Till, when Emmett Till got killed, that's what made Fred Hampton who Fred Hampton was. But yeah, man, my grandmother used to my great grandmother used to yell at these kids, man. So they just held each other down. I didn't know that. But here's the other weird part before I even get to the story. When I moved to Oakland, unbeknownst to my family, I went to the same elementary school as Huey Newton.
Wow.
So I went to the exact same school. And I would later go on and work with that school to try to improve and show what those reading scores are. And that school looked exactly the same a few years ago as it did when I was a student, as it did when he was a student there. And then, funny enough, a mentor of mine is Elaine Brown. So Elaine Brown is the only woman that ever. She's the only woman that ever lead the Black Panthers. So the reason that you have a book, the reason why this book is here, is because Elaine Brown, who I love very dearly, and if you meet her, she cussed me out in a very loving way and told me to write a book. So that is how you have that. That's my weird tie to the Black Panthers.
So people can see that. We want to put a link in the chat.
Yeah, you know what?
Beyond grit and resilience. Look at that baby face.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was me as a baby.
that's
In
beautiful.
the Chicago
So proud
streets.
of
But
you.
so with that story, right? So, and here's the thing, and my team gonna get mad at me. Shireen, don't beat me up because I know she's gonna watch this video. Look, the audio book is with Audible. It should be coming soon. But check this out. If there are some parents on here that just want it, I'll just give you access to the Google link and you can just listen to it. I don't just, it's fine. Just hit Zakiya and then I'll give her the stuff or whatever. I know this is not how you sell books, but whatever. I don't care.
But
So
that's the love that you have for your people, and I appreciate that.
well, that's how I wrote it, right? Like I wrote it for, I mean, there's a story even behind that, how the book got done and how my dissertation got done. And I had to fight to even get that done because I didn't want to write to the academy. I use some other language. I won't do that on your show, but I was just like, but I had a really dope chair who was like, nah, I run this part, man. We good. Like, and so every time we got a chapter done, we took it to a group. I took it to a group of Black moms that I just knew. And if they didn't understand something or something didn't make sense, I changed it or I took it out. Because what's the point? If somebody like my mama can't use it, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my damn degrees out of spite, man. I don't care nothing about the academy. I don't love these people. These people don't love me. And I just know what my role is. So I know I done went all these other places, but I wanted to make that connection for you. But yeah, so born in 83, moved back and forth between Chicago and Kentucky. My grandmother would eventually move to Kentucky, where her people's from. The sweetest woman in the world that I've ever known, Ozetta Hooper. It's gonna be a lot of stuff dedicated to her and named after her. Yeah. But just so you get a sense of how much I moved, I was born in Chicago. My brother was born in Kentucky. He's a middle child. My sister was born back in Chicago. We ended up back in Kentucky. Like, we did that dance so much. And my parents was, in and out of their addiction. And then when my grandmother passed away, we stayed there for a little bit longer. Both of my parents were kind of in and out of jail. Little stupid stuff. But yeah, the last time my mother was still.
Well, they criminalized. That's the thing. My mother and my father was in and out of jail. And I got to be honest with you and everybody that's listening. Mm-hmm. I struggle with bitterness because I also lived in Ohio, went back to Ohio, went back to Dayton when my great grandmother raised me. Shout out to Viola Williams, who passed away in 1994. But I moved back to Ohio when she passed. I was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. So I moved to Dayton, and my great aunt there finished raising me. But Dayton was the heroin sort of capital of the world or whatever for the last couple of years. But I watched the response to white heroin users when it was crack users and they were Black. It was throw them in jail. But now suddenly drug addiction is a medical issue and not a criminal issue when most of the addicts don't look like us. And I went through a big period of resentment. I was like, oh no, let's lock them up. That's what y'all did to my mama.
And that's why? Because senators' kids do pills. You know what I'm saying? Because senators pop pills in between meetings, and everybody pops. It's a lot of people, right? And I saw that. And of course, we want people to get what they need, but it's just like, oh, now you found some compassion. Like this is where I got upset.
Now all of a sudden, it's a health issue.
There was this time where I used to just I go hard on education regardless. I don't care about if it's charter, traditional, public, private, whatever. And I go hard because we don't get what we deserve. And I just be like, we got some teachers that can't teach. But then I remember when the strike happened, I was a part of the largest strike in Oakland's history. I was a student. And then I was writing the Oakland report when the latest strike happened. But I saw something and it was like, them teachers was teaching their ass off when it was time to strike. Them kids told me how they felt and how seen they were. And I'm like, oh, the issue ain't that you can't teach. The issue is that you like to teach what you want to teach. And so, when I share my story, man, I think people think that I just don't like nobody or, oh, you this privatizer or you hate this. Or I don't hate. Listen, man, I don't care about none of your systems. Like your systems is not my master. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. And I think that, I lost one of my best friends in between the 8th and 9th grade. He could barely read. And he was outside. He was, got shot in front of his mama house in North Oakland, man, between 8th and 9th grade. It's so many of my friends that are dead. And many of them were like, could barely read. And so people be like, well, y'all just care about test scores. You care about this or whatever, man. I don't care. No, It's not about the test scores, what that score represents, because for a disproportionate amount of us, it don't just mean a bad job. It means that some of my people gonna die. It means, and so, you know, when I do this work, I've been so blessed. I went to, I think, 11 elementary schools. I've really lost count. I went to so many schools. And people ask me why I do this work or whatever the case is. I don't even like it. I'd much rather be playing basketball. I want to come home and have a cigar and chill. You know, sometimes you just get good at something. And I happen to be a decent speaker in doing this work or whatever. But somebody got to be in there and tell the truth. And when I lived in East Oakland, I'm from North Oakland, but I lived all over Oakland. My dad was not a very good drug dealer or whatever, right? He just wasn't good.
My dad tried to do a little bit of that too.
I'm gonna just keep it all the way real with you, like, because it's you. I ain't even did this on A Black Hands. And something happened, and these cats like ran up in our crib, right, and laid our crib down and jumped my pops. And then my pastor uncle came, my aunt and my pastor uncle came shooting. Just FYI, just so you know who I am.
Pastor uncle, he came packing like this. This what we doing today.
We just heard gunshots, and my auntie was like, "Oh, that's Michael." So I was like, "Oh, okay, well." But I'm just saying, but like from that moment on, I was like, "Look, man, if this is the life that's waiting for me, like I can't do this, yo. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? But this is what put me in the agency so much. But if I can fight if I got any say over how my life goes, that's what I'm going to focus on. So I would even have beef with like my funders, because it's like policy goes. But look, man, it's a lot of policy shit that was supposed to happen. Sorry for cursing, but you know me.
No, you good.
It's a lot of policy shit that was supposed to happen, like Brown versus Board. And a lot of people don't even know what happened with Brown versus Board, how it was a bunch of cases switched together. But it always has bad effects for us. And it don't help me on Monday morning. Agentic Goes helps me on Monday. Agentic Goes is like, yo, this is how you do this thing. So instead of just saying, we're going to try to fix world hunger and pass a law or whatever, which you should, I'm not saying nothing against that. But you also should be teaching Black folks how to cook. I mean, how to grow their own damn food too. Because waiting on y'all, like, you need to know about your soil and if it's fertile and how to do this on your own. Because waiting for these people and these subsidies, when people came back from World War II, our country gave the biggest welfare program of all time and built the white middle class and
they built the suburbs at that time. Yes,
they built it. They built you in these starter homes that they just knocked out, and they kept Black folks out.
And then kept Black soldiers specifically. The Black soldiers did not participate in that.
Exactly.
So when we talk about reparations, we're not just talking about, and it's valid just about that, right? But we're not talking about just the 400 years of chattel enslavement. We're talking about all the things subsequently that y'all kept us out of.
Exactly. Or, I mean, and when we talk about education, like y'all got another works program when it's like, well, we're going to force integration. But they didn't force integration by making white teachers come to the hood. They just closed the hood down. And we had thriving educators. We had Black men teachers. We had Black women teachers. We had a real educational, like situation happening. And then at the Brown versus Board, we wiped all that out. And now people act surprised when the teaching force is 80% white. Like, this stuff is not by accident. And it's the only profession. And again, and I'm not even, if you're a good teacher doing your job, God bless you. I don't have no smoke. I don't care. Listen, I don't care enough to you know what I'm saying? I expect firefighters to put out fires. I expect teachers to teach. I don't expect you to say, I can't do my job because the people poor. Well, you knew that shit when you took the job. That's like a firefighter saying, I can't put that fire out because it's just too hot. Well, I need you to go do something else, fam.
Charles, you crazy.
Listen, I was a social worker. I did it for 5 years and then I stopped. You know why? Because I wanted to go do something else. I love being a social worker. I gave it my all and then I moved on. You know what I'm saying? And that's the point that I'm just trying to make. When we talk about education, we got to stop caping for systems. Anybody can get it. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
Anybody can get it. Your baby is the thing that you got to be protected. So don't tell me if you got a school on the hill, whether it's private or public, that we got to think about the system. I ain't got to think about. I don't have to think about shit. Amen. I don't have to think about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell me what I got to think about, because we've sacrificed so many generations of our babies. We sacrificed so many of our kids.
So many.
DeMarcus is no longer here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends that will not be here. I don't give a damn about your test. The test, I want to make sure something is happening, okay? So they're like, oh, well, this test is racist. Y'all been calling this test racist for 50 years, and it is racist. Build something else. Like, then do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something else. And so this is why I love you. I love you because you're one of the most unapologetic voices about what you believe and what you feel. And you just don't compromise on things that matter to Black people. And, you know, even in my bio, it says something about I work with students of color. Nah, listen, I will work with any student, but my heart and my passion is Black boys. All right. Yeah. And now that I got my weight up a little bit, and I done got in a different situation, that people of color thing is leaving. Like, I'm getting that shit up out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
so crazy. Hey, we got to talk about that. What you said. Listen, since you said you not using BIPOC, I cannot tell you how many other Black people I have seen say the same thing. And I said, shout out to Charles Cole for being the first to publicly come out and be like, you know what? No.
And let me explain that, because I had there were kids telling me I didn't deserve my doctorate when I said that. He don't know what it means. I promise you I know exactly what it means, but let me tell you what happens in my world, and I'll give you a real example. The brunt is built off of Black people. So when it's looting, it's Black people. When it's somebody getting killed, it's Black people. When it's a disturbance, it's Black people. It's always Black people. But then somebody like, you know what? Okay, well, we got some money then, right? We got some money. Y'all need Black teachers. I got Black teachers. Y'all need Black cops. We got Black cops. Black doctors. Okay, cool. But then it becomes BIPOC now. Now it becomes everybody. Now it becomes, just people of, we gonna take in this group. And what happens is, and I've seen this happen in practice. I know people gonna say, well, that's not what it's meant to.
Yeah,
and they're gonna say
what it does.
What it's meant to do. Well, I just told you what Brown versus Board wasn't meant to do, but what it actually did, right? Like, you have to understand how life works. There are unintended consequences, or actually intended consequences, that's just buried in, and we know that you only read the top level and not the fine print. So what happens is that money that's supposed to go to build Black teachers goes to a rainbow coalition of folks, which I'm not mad at if the money was meant for that, but it was built off the backs of Black people. And then, and then because America can't focus on nothing for more than 2 seconds, I thought we were just having a conversation about Black liberation. Apparently that's soft now. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you are in this piece alone. And when you are on this alone, what that means is I'm not alienating nobody.
Right.
If you help me, it's a bonus, yo. If a white person want to help me, a brown person, an Asian person, or whomever, I welcome you, yo. I'm gonna rock with you. I got love for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's my responsibility to take care of my household. It is my responsibility to take care of my people and of my own, so, and you can do stuff. So when we started the People's Literacy Fund, I built that because I was homeless, living in 4 shelters, and out of the history of the Black Panthers. And what that fund is, Ms. Zakiya, I don't even know if you know this. I worked with this amazing organization, and we had $100,000, and I said, I want to give it directly to the people. I want to give it directly to the people. Whoever is working with their kids around literacy in the Bay Area, listen, man, I pushed philanthropy around this with this concept of, instead of doing this thing where we got a whole bunch of reports, and you know this because you work in this field, where you guys spend a whole bunch of time doing reports, you spending more time talking about what you're doing than you actually get to do, and that's just the name of the game. I said, no, let's do a portfolio model for giving out this money, meaning we gonna find people that fit this criteria, and we just gonna count everything that they do as one. So, and I'm gonna take care of the reporting. They don't need to worry about it. And guess what? If some people need to spend that money on food, or because the coronavirus is eating them up or whatever, then so be it, right? Like, it is what it is. Because when I lived in those shelters, if we could have got a $5,000 mini grant because my parents was actually doing well with me around literacy, then so be it, man. Then so be it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm good with that, right? And so, that's my piece with it. You know what I'm saying?
It's about like freeing it up, like let people have agency. And that's a good segue, right? To like your whole thing, like shout out to what, show everybody what you got on.
Well, yeah, I got one that say, my love language is agency, because that's what it is. Talk that agency talk to me, baby. You might get a date. This is what I care about this. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, you're gonna get a date. You gotta talk about
the other one. Right, and self-determination, right? Like, but the point that I'm making is that Like, I don't want to be listen, man, I grew up in public housing. I grew up on welfare. I grew up with food stamps. I grew up with government cheese and all that stuff. And I remember people in the hood trying to figure out schemes of like, well, I want to get on Section 8 and teaching their kids how to do it. And my grandmama said, look, you always need to help people. And she always fed people. But she said, you will not be living in this shit as an adult. Like, I don't want you here. Like, we had, let me tell you, man, for the people that's listening, I did say this on A Black Hands, but like, we had roach bombs twice a year. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell the people that don't know what roach bombs are. It's when you live in public tenements and they're so roach infested that twice a year, everybody has to put everything in their house under plastic wrap or whatever. And then the agency comes in and they lay down these bombs and they bomb your house. They do like these sprays. But guess what? Roaches are the most resilient organisms on the damn planet. So what you come back to is you killed a lot of roaches, but now you got roaches with backpacks and they flying. Okay, like this is what I come from, man.
Let the people know real quick how they can purchase. We got brother how to purchase the hoodies. We definitely want to put a link in there. So where can they go to purchase these hoodies?
CharlesCole3.com, and then there's a tab for merch. Here you go. Y'all can just send it up there or whatever, right?
We'll put it in the comments. Charles.
Yeah. I put it in the chat for your people, right? So
yeah, we'll put it in the chat.
And I know I'm just all over the place with Zakiya. I just, you know what it is.
This is good.
You know, I just wanted to get on and just have, you know, just talk to somebody that I like admire and like really dive into this story because I'm writing the second book now, right? And the second book the first book is academic. The second book is not. The second book is very personal, and I have to go to some very dark places to write it. It's called Crack Baby Residue because I talk about in my book. I talk about, you know, the crack epidemic. I do these stories of Black men that lived and grew up how we grew up, but I coined this thing called the Black Achievement Trauma Tax, which you and I both have probably dealt with. And what it is when you face acute traumas. Let me say why I say acute. I don't want to downplay anybody's trauma, but I think everything they say everything is trauma now. When I say acute traumas, I mean people were killed in front of these people. They watched their mothers beaten and dragged. They were shot themselves, right? Like acute like traumas, right? But they still want to be successful. What we see is in movies, the movie ends when the little Black boy goes off to college. They just show his backpack and he walking off or whatever, and the credits roll. Right. In my research, I looked beyond that. I looked at what these men were doing in their 40s and 30s. Right. And what happened is that trauma and getting to that place, it don't go away, it goes dormant and then it comes back. So these men struggled with trying to keep their wives, trying to deal with the guilt of getting out versus like reconciling their old life with their new life and never really fitting in any place. The point is that there is a higher tax. There's a higher social emotional tax that folks like us that went through that crack epidemic pay than other people don't. That's why me and you both be ready to slap people. That's why we both show up on these shows. No patience for BS. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, listen, man, and if you grew up in a concrete jungle, you learn how to survive in that place. So now you put me in a totally different environment and the rules are different. Like what you might call toxic now saved me a lot of grief then. You know what I'm saying? And there's a metamorphosis that has to happen. So in this book, I talk about those things in very like academic terms. Crack Baby Residue is different. It's a very jarring book. Each chapter is kind of built off of a song that was played a part of my life, but it just drops you into a story around some stuff that was happening and then takes you out. Like it's supposed to be jarring. It is supposed to replicate the feelings that I was going through that kind of built up this residue that I continue to deal with now, right? Like I plot my escape from this work every fucking day. I'm not gonna be doing this forever. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't make a lot of friends in this thing, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it can be I don't like using the term lonely or whatever, right? But like I said, you know, I can go from a board meeting that has billionaires in it in the healthcare field to like real family members that's like really doing some shit to get by in the same day, right? And after a while, you just like, okay, who do you talk to about any of this stuff, right? So I'm a big advocate and proponent for Black people shit. Part of part of reparations should be Black folks should have access to high quality mental health services. All of us. If you are an organization or a funder that funds Black-led work or Brown-led work or any of this stuff, you should be providing, like Zakiya should just have she should just have a therapist that she chooses out of whatever network she wants, and it should just be part of the package, because there's so much stuff here.
Idea.
You know what I'm saying? And like because we always end up looking crazy. We always do, you know, and don't none of us come out of this stuff clean. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. But where's the place where you can go have those conversations, right? If for damn sure ain't our schools, if for damn sure ain't the places where these people want to take credit anytime a Black kid go to college, but all the other kids that they failed, well, it's poverty. I can't do this. I can't do nothing because it's poverty. Do you understand that poverty is the reason why I got all these damn degrees? Do you understand that I was willing to do whatever, like, to get to this place? But it's the same thing they've been doing to us, right? Like, we can't be both stupid and criminal masterminds. You got to pick a struggle. So what I'm saying is, when crack came and they got Ice Cube on this, Ice Cube was like, I ain't got no planes. I didn't ship in cocaine or whatever. But then you tell me I can't do math. But taking the process of taking cocaine and breaking it down, adding lactose and cooking it up until it becomes this yellowy kind of hard rocked up substance, that's chemistry. So either I'm stupid and I can't learn, or I'm a criminal. Like, but you got to pick one.
Talk and about that part. That's chemistry. Right? Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And somebody had to show us. Like, don't tell me what I can't learn or what we can't do. But you know what I'm saying? But if you got a profession that got a built-in excuse, right? I mean, listen, man, like, because here's the thing, and this is why you know it's a built-in excuse. This is why you know it's BS. Flip the table. Right. If the majority of America's kids, the white kids, were in schools every day where it was 80% Black teachers and most of them were Black women, and they got the same results for white kids, regardless of how much money they made,
it would have been a revolution already.
They would have burned it down. It would have been burned down to the ground. So that's why people like us go hard. So I don't get mad when people are like, oh, you a privatize, you this, you that, or whatever. You first off, you standing behind a computer screen. Secondly, I don't care about none of y'all. Like, I don't care. Like, but we don't have to be friends. See, this is the thing about why you need an agenda. And this is the work I appreciate from you. People seem to think that in order to partner up, y'all got to agree on everything. You got to like each other on everything. It got to be love and kumbaya. No. If you want love, go get married or have kids. You need a plan. What are the 2 or 3 things that we agree on? And then let's rock and work that way. Like, that's why Fred Hampton could go to those different groups and be like, y'all, these white folks, they doing y'all dirty over here. Like, they don't like you either. Hey, you brown folks, they doing you dirty. The gangs, they doing you dirty. We ain't got to like eat everything. So, you know, there's just no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. And I think that you are one of the leading voices in it. I think the work, I'm not surprised that people like Nina Turner and Killer Mike and all these people just love you. And like, you know, and Boyce and all these people, like, they love you because you just cut through the BS, man. Like, you have, but I think the thing that you have that I would love to hear you talk more about, just whether it's here or just in general, I think you have true Black love in your life. I think that you are actually so enveloped in actual love that you don't need that from other sources. You just need other sources to do what they supposed to do. And if that's the case, and if that's what we're struggling with is love and being loved and being seen, then that's a different conversation that we need to fix as a community.
Right. I love that. And you know, you just said a lot, and a lot.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, this is good. No, a lot has come up for me. One of the things that I have to go back to is this idea around, you know, support for Black people around, you know, mental health care. And I feel like, and this is something that me and you, I kind of want to rock with you a little bit more, even offline on this idea. Mm-hmm. I feel like we need to come up with a more creative way to say that in our community, because we also have to acknowledge the racist history of psychiatry in this country, of mental health care. There were times where Black people were labeled and pathologized as a form of racism and to take our kids and all kinds of things. Like, it was government it wasn't just like police action. It was also, so you're a social worker. The history of social work is also very racist. That's why we have a National Black Alliance for Black Social Workers. That's why we have ABSI, which is the Association of Black Psychologists. And the thing I wanted to bring up about that is because I have had the opportunity in other spaces to actually have healing or emotional emancipation. I like that word for it. And you actually might know Dr. Cheryl Grill. She's in LA, but she's traveled up and down California. She's a past president of the Association of Black Psychologists and also works directly with Enola Aird, who is a Black lawyer, Black Panamanian. Shout out to Enola Aird if she's listening. But they started this work together and they do it globally. So it's not even just with Black folks in America. Certainly, like, that's where they started. But Enola was clear. I'm Panamanian. Black folks in Panama need this healing too, right? And Dr. Grills was clear, right? She's traveled all over the world. We need to be doing this healing on the continent, in Ghana, in Tanzania, all over the continent. They've been to Cuba. Black people are everywhere. That's the other thing we don't talk about. We literally are on every continent. There are Black people and of African descent, right? So not just, Black people, but Black people of African descent. We're everywhere. And the other thing about that is that what I love about it, because I've been trained in that framework, is that they start with the history of how oppression influences sort of the so-called mental health of Black people. And white therapy, because I've been to that before, like the regular standard therapy, there is no acknowledgement of how systems of oppression today influence what we go through. And so I wanted to talk about that with you just to get your idea in terms of, right, we should have a therapist, but what type of therapist should we have? And should they have an understanding, not necessarily in how they're trained to think about, well, what can you do better? And like, what's wrong with you as an individual without any understanding of how these systems of oppression is creating and inducing the mental health crisis in Black people, and certainly I'm sure other people of color as well.
Yeah, no, so one, I think that's a great question. I'm one of those, like, I believe in liberation. I believe in people doing what they think is best for them. So if somebody feel like they need a certain type for whatever reason, and that's your business, do your thing. I agree with what you're saying though. And I think that it is important to, if somebody knows our history and can bring that in. I think reading Naeem Akbar is somebody that I love to read, and he talks about that a lot and breaks that down when he break into the mental chains of slavery. I think I misquoted the title, but I love that book, and it's so simple, but it's so profound. And he talks about he is a Black psychologist mindset. And then this other book in my Black Men's Book Club, Seeking the Sekou by Wade Noble, is another really good book that kind of speaks to the psychology of us and who we are. Wade
Noble is one of the founding members of the Association of Black Psychologists.
And I did my doctorate at San Francisco State, right? So, so Wade, Dr. Noble is just ubiquitous there. And so, I think that here's the bottom line. It's hard to ever really heal when you don't know who you are. When your whole tree goes back, when you don't know who you are beyond 3 generations. Like, why did I learn about all these stories? And like, I was like, y'all got to show me some evidence about this Fred Hampton, Emmett Till stuff. And then my aunt went and pulled up like the little thing from the city that all their names was on that they got, from Maywood around like appreciation. I'm like, well, why didn't y'all tell me this as a child? Like, why? Like, I just feel like if you know the greatness that you come from, that you connected to, it's just certain things that I just would not have done had I known. And I think there's, and it's like, but where's the safe space to have those conversations? Because here's the thing, right? I hate that term because there's no such thing. There's this brother online, and I'll send you the video offline, but his name is Kane Carter. His name is Hot Damn I Rock on YouTube. But the reason why I bring him up is he was one of the first Black dudes really doing comedy, and he was killing it on YouTube. And then he just had a hell of a year. Like, he lost hella friends. He got sick and started losing weight. Like, he just changed, right? And like, he went through this thing that's really mental thing. And now he's kind of like Dave Chappelle in the sense of he's still funny, but his talks are now so much more like focused. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he has a talk about his relation to women, and how he came up and why that is. But it's so raw and it's so good that if I could have had him in high school, one, I would be so much better off today. But two, I don't trust our American education system to deliver that same message that brother took. Right. And I think that he would be seen as dangerous. I'll send it to you offline, and then I would love to get your thoughts, because it's also, and this is where the 8 Black Hands are split on this, because I think that there are some things that we need to handle with our own people behind closed doors, and some of us are like, we should do it out in public. And I get my brothers that feel that way in public, but I feel like some shit ain't for everybody. I feel clean my house first before I invite everybody else in, because me and you might have a beef and need to go there, but if y'all really talking about restorative justice, there has to be room to actually restore. And so, but that needs to happen with us, because there's a level of love there, as opposed to people just trying to tear you down. And so I don't know, man. I think when you talk about psychology and you talk about the type of therapist we need someone that can help us unlock who we are. And what do you do if you just can't? Like, I know so many people that are they're just ghosts. Like, I don't know, beyond my great grandmother, my paternal great grandmother, I have no idea. Beyond my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, I have no idea, right? I just don't know. And so when I see other people, and I have Italian friends, I have Asian friends, I have Chinese friends, I have friends that can trace their stuff back like 30 generations, man. Like, I'm very sad. You know what I'm saying? It's very, and I never knew how sad or jealous of that I was. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so, when I found out that news about Hampton and all these loose connections that just randomly happen, I don't think things happen randomly, but I was both happy and extremely sad, because I felt like so much of me had been robbed and taken. And it just kind of hurt. So I think that, but where is that space for us? And I don't think that I don't trust our systems to do it, because again, it was Black Lives Matters a week ago, and now we've moved on to something else as a country. And to the point where if Black people even bring up, well, what about us? You anti something. It's like, I love all these people, but we didn't fix the issue. Y'all just did some window dressing. You feel me? Like, and so these systems ain't the place, man. These systems are not built for you. People need to understand, Zakiya, that like these people thought these systems out 300 years in advance. Like, if you read Education of Blacks in the South, they talk about we can't let Black people get educated, because because if they get educated, we lose them, we lose their free labor, and then we have to go global. They already knew that once they lost Black people, they were going to go global and build a global workforce for cheaper. Like, they talked about that stuff 200 years ago. Like, they wasn't playing with you. You know what I mean? Like, and the way these systems work is the more you press on it, it's like those little the Chinese finger traps. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. It protects itself. And so I just think that if you don't learn to do for self, if you don't learn to community up, if you don't learn to take care of your neighbor and each other or whatnot, you're gonna be out here for the wolves. And wolves eat. They eat. You can tweet all you want, you can hashtag all you want, you can be as woke as you want, all that. It's a lot of woke people that don't know how to take a punch. And I'm just letting you know, like, rubber will meet the road at some point. So I'm so thankful and so blessed that my parents went through everything they went through. I'm so blessed to have lived in 4 shelters and to have lived in 3 regions, because I can communicate and work with people differently. Like, people be like, you speak up at these board meetings, like you just are fearless. I'm like, I'm not fearless. People ran up in my house and laid my house down before in front of me. What I'm scared of an old white lady at the fucking like board meeting gonna do? Like, what you talking about?
I'm sorry, Charles. I'm cracking up.
What is you scared of? Like, what you talking about?
Right. Like, when you had those experiences, it's like, you know, it ain't a whole lot else that can really put no fear into you. You know what I'm saying? It's not a whole lot.
And let me be clear. I'm not one of them. I'm scared of a lot of stuff, right? I'm not. You will not see. I ain't scared of nothing but God. I'm scared of God and a lot of stuff. Okay, I am. Fear has been such an important player in my life. I have degrees because I was afraid. I have success because I was afraid, right? Like I was afraid to be my father, right? I was afraid to just be out there because I wasn't built for it. Listen, man, I did not sell drugs because I just was this super upstanding kid that was always altruistic. I just didn't fit those shoes. Listen, if I could have been a good drug dealer, I probably would have sold drugs. Like, and people like to present themselves in a certain type of way and they're not being honest, man. And my thing is, when you're not honest, everybody just goes into hiding. Then everybody's vices start to eat at them and take them over, and we kill ourselves from the inside, man. You need a place where you can go be honest about who you are, where you can deal with those things in a spot that's not waiting to just eat you or just to get you or whatever. Because I'm so sick of these internet thugs. I swear to God, internet celebrities, Twitter celebrities. Like, you can just tell who ain't never been slapped before. Like,
you can tell these people are so brave behind their phone. Let me tell you. And sometimes I'll say it, like people will say something real crazy to me on Facebook or Twitter. And I'm like, you know what? You real brave behind that phone. I said, but I wonder if you would have said that to me if we was in person. And I will say that.
And that's why I try not to disrespect people, right? Like from the town I came from, the places, you can disrespect people. You just got to be ready to fight. You just got to be ready for this afterwards. I didn't like that. I've been punched in the face. You see these lips? You don't want these damn lips to get bigger. Look at this shit. You know how big this lip is? I've had fat lips. You feel me? Like, so it's like, wait, why would you say some shit like that?
Right.
You feel me? Like,
right.
There's consequences, man. And not just like you getting dragged on Twitter. Like, right. And this is the thing. I already think that these white folks gonna take it all from me, right? So what I tell people when they say some crazy stuff and I DM them, like, look, if I gotta lose everything, at least I'm gonna lose it on my time. So don't be the reason that I lose it all. Cause like, don't be, man. But I just feel like there's so much work to do. But it also speaks to, I think a lot of people in this generation have it really, really good. They got it so good that they have to manufacture problems. They have to manufacture people living in their own
manufacturing problems, right?
Yeah, they living in their own reality show, right? They living in a show where it's like, I need drama to like be there. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta go back and cancel people, and I gotta go back and do this. It's like, how much time you got? Like, my parents didn't have time for that. That's what all that damn self-care and overtime gets you, right? Like, you get bored and the idle mind is the devil's playground. So you going through people's tweets from 6 years ago, trying to like
people be doing that. I'm like, who got time for that?
Because their life is so good.
7 years ago, right?
You know how good life gotta be. You know how good life gotta be for that to be what you doing. You feel me? And it's like, yo, man, and it's like, check this out. I'm not gonna disrespect you. And it's the other thing. I want to bring back Black debate. I want to bring back Black thought. I want to bring back listen, I might have some issues.
Strong in the 90s, though. Remember how strong leaders. Hey, shout out to Phil Donahue, right?
Right.
Phil Donahue, you had Farrakhan on. He had Khalid Muhammad on. He would bring on the most so-called controversial people and would really let them say what they had to say.
Yes. And my thing is this, and like, let's get back to a time where intellectual cream of the crop actually rose to the top, because while I do like that social media has helped me, technology has helped me, but also there's some voices that shouldn't stand next to some voices. If you are a nuclear physicist and you've been doing this for 40 years, your thought on things in that realm, a 17-year-old like white girl in middle America, her comment about what you saying should not be in the same space. And so, but I want to get back to a time, and I'm trying to work on this show. I'll see if I can get it. I just don't have time. Like, I'm really about to leave all this stuff. I really think I am. But like, I want to get to a place where it's like people that I truly respect but don't agree with on stuff, and we build some rules, and like, we actually just have an exchange. Exactly. And like, let me actually understand what you're trying to say. Let me actually hear what you're trying to say, because all of y'all are fake gangbangers. All of y'all are y'all flying fake flags. You know what I'm saying? You like, I be asking, sometimes I work with my young people and I ask them their opinion. I be like, give me your opinion before you look on Instagram. Like, no, put your phone away. What do you think about this? Don't look at what's trending. Don't look at what everybody said. Tell me what you think. No, stop. I know what Beyonce said. I know what this person said. I know what they tweeted. What do you think about this and why? Like, we are, as technology is growing, we are becoming less critical thinkers. Oh, because the worst thing is when Black Twitter find out a new word. When they find a new word, oh my God, they will dive that. When they learned about AAVE, African American Vernacular English, we don't call it Ebonics.
And that's old. Like that's Ebonics.
You listen, I was at Westlake Junior High School, which is now Westlake Middle School. I was a part of the pilot program as a student when Ebonics happened in Oakland. That national story and all that stuff. I remember
it was Oakland. I remember that being on the news as a kid.
I was in the pilot. I was a part of the pilot, and this is around the same time Oakland had its biggest strike ever, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I come from this stuff in a different way. And I said something with you last time, and it went a little viral, but it was just like how I know that people don't love Black kids the way they say. And I was like, because they scared of me. I've been a square my whole life. Charles is not with the shits. Y'all want to fight? I'm not going. Okay, listen, I'm about to stay home. I'm chilling. It's so many people that's afraid of me now. That's like pulling a purse now. It's like, I'm educated, right? I own my home. Like, I have like, I travel and do stuff, right? Like, I have too much to lose to like do something to you. You cannot tell me that these are the same people that I have to leave in charge of public education, because when you get a 14-year-old version of me that's still hurting, still homeless, parents still on drugs, still going through shit. And when he like, bitch, get out my face. Are you able to handle that and minister and work with that child? Or are you just going to let the system run its course and put that kid on track to fucking prison? Like, I'm not trusting your system. I'm not trusting your system, man. You better get your ass away from me. Look, I mean, listen, man. But here's the thing. People that really love this work, they don't really want you to trust that system either. Like, when I worked at the district, I knew my job. My job was to give game to people. Hey, man, no, this is what the data says. I'm not going to clean this shit up for you. This is what it says. I need you to know. That's why I was a good social worker. I was a good social worker, because I showed people, this is my reunification plan for your family. This is what the judge is going to ask me about. Are you doing your treatments? Are you doing this? Are you going to counseling? Like, and if you don't show these things, you're going to get a bad recommendation from me, which is going to carry a lot of weight. Like, why would I try to clean that up for you if I really want to help you? You know what I'm saying? This system don't care about you. And so anyway, Zakiya, you've gotten me to open up more than anybody in any of these shows.
This is important. And to me, I feel like, before we wrap, I wanted to actually show people that you all about what you talk about. And so I have your amazing website up here about Energy Converters and how you have this youth fellowship. And I know people really want to know about that too. So I actually wanted to make sure, we talked about that. And I'm so proud of you. But can you share a little bit with the audience about what this is all about? Look at you. I love this picture of you, by the way, with the two young people.
This is them they just rocked a crowd of 300 people after this. Like, this is what that was from. And y'all can watch that video. It's still up there. And so Energy Converters is something that I built off of on a napkin. And it just came from I wrote this thing a long time ago called What an Energy Converter Is. And what it is basically, a lot of things happen to you, but it doesn't have a value till you give it that. So again, like I just said, I'm proud that I went through all that stuff, because that energy could have been used in a negative way, but I use that to fuel what I wanted to do. And that's what I do in my job is I focus on the end users of education. So it's students, their parents, and their community. It's not just young people. And so Energy Converters, I talk about this 9 to 5, 5 to 9 concept. 9 to 5 is what you use to pay your bills or whatever. But in my 5 to 9 after work, I would spend time, an hour, 15 minutes, and I would just jot down if I had my own, or what would I do? Instead of me critiquing somebody else's organization that they built, what would I do on my own, right? And like when I'm the boss and I ain't got nobody to blame. And so I built it there. And what we did is we started to center these conversations around young people and their needs, what they see. And then we build out and we use data from that place. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we do and how we work on it. And then I built the People's Literacy Fund just with the spirit of the parents and just what I could have used when I was a kid. I could have used this fund so much when I was like, man, when I was going back and forth to them shelters, man, when I lived in those shelters, I remember at the Henry Robinson in downtown Oakland, the people told my father in front of his oldest son what time he had to be inside. Do you know what that does to a prideful man?
A prideful man, yeah.
You know how hard it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just very that's just difficult. And so I believe in people's
it's emasculating. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, and I just never wanted to be in that situation. It's probably why I ain't got kids too. But like, so listen, man, I'm an imperfect dude. I make a lot of dumb mistakes all the time, every single day.
Right.
But I do love my people. I love my community, and I do the best I can. And I'm gonna mess up, and I'm gonna keep messing up. And I think we all are. And I think that, freedom and real liberation is being able to have grace. And so I try to offer it to other people. I feel like anybody can come back. I feel like there's get back for anybody. I have to, because of where I come from. Like I have to, you know what I'm saying? I've learned some of the best lessons in my life from crackheads. And what that taught me, I used to go to NA meetings with my mom, and I love going. I swear to God, I was like 10 years old, 11 years old in NA meetings. I was drinking I was eating their donuts, and I would drink their juice and try to get some of their coffee when my mom would let me. But I would listen to these people, all different types of colors, talk about what drugs did to them. And what I learned there is that, you know what, sometimes truth is just truth, regardless who it's coming from. If it's coming from somebody in a suit or a bum on the streets. And so what I'll leave you all with on Energy Converters and what my message is to them is like, look, people will use your story. They will make money off of your story, and you will still be broke. You better learn how to tell your own damn story and learn how to utilize it. If anybody gonna make money off your story, it needs to be you.
Right.
And then finally, just around that piece is that don't nobody owe you nothing, man.
Right.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But if you feel owed or like you don't do the work, people, when you 12 and you got a sad story, people are like, oh, that's cute. I want to hear that. But when you 42, and you just a bum on the streets, your ass is just a bum on the streets. They just stepping over,
and they don't care how you got there.
They don't care about your story.
There's no conversation about the systems that created the environment for that to be the case.
Exactly. And we got but I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible for mine. You're responsible for yours. And I'm good with us doing group politics and us getting together and doing stuff, man. But we ain't in the same boat, and I'm so sick of people saying that. We the same. We ain't in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? And there's a survivor's guilt or remorse, or there's a bunch of stuff. I worked through it with very expensive therapists, right? But like the point that I just want to make is that if we don't start, white supremacy don't even send their own for you no more. They send your own people. They send your own people. And if you can't see what you can use that,
it really is.
That's because that's smart. Listen, bosses don't go down to that level and do street fights. You send goons. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, man. Every major movement Black people have had, white people have had Black people strategically placed inside of those movements to infiltrate.
We just saw that with the Judas and the Black Messiah. We just saw that they used other Black people against you. Yeah. That's sad. That's another show, though. Hey, that's a whole ass show in itself, Charles. And I am happy to bring you back on.
I will come anytime. And I'm so sorry for talking so much. This is the most.
This is how I run this show. And I love you too. And that's why I'm like, this was real. And I feel like, so number one, the comments have been off the chain. We have had consecutive viewers. People are enjoying this because it's a real conversation. We're not here all prissy about like, oh, this is how you have to improve education. No, we're talking about what's real in our communities and what happened to us as children. The final thing that I want us to touch on, and I really want us to touch on this real quick before we wrap, is that I have been intentional, and I'm sure you have too. I have been intentional about not letting people use my story and use the fact that I'm, okay, or I'm somewhat successful or whatever, to shame other Black people who had similar experiences growing up as me and you, to say, well, she made it, what's wrong with you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And don't use me for that. And I think there are different conversations that's had in public versus in private. So in public, listen, I like to use Tyler Perry for this.
Right.
In public, Tyler Perry is somebody who built his own studio, prints his own damn money, basically, and is the king of his own Zamunda doing his thing. In private with black folks, you like that shit? Did you see that? Did you see them wigs? This is terrible. He wrote this shit he wrote this in crayon on toilet paper, right? But as a part of who we are, hey man, do your thing. You won't be getting torn down in public by me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same with families, right? It's like, look, man, there are systemic things that might hold people back to the reason that they can't do X, Y, and Z the way that I've done it or somebody else. And I got residue from the way that I did it. Like, I didn't do it perfectly either. I'm fucked up too. Just because I got a little bit more money don't mean that I'm not impacted by all the things in the system.
Still impacted.
But privately, the same way you would correct your son, man, if you don't get your ass off this couch, hey, what I asked you to do, man? I asked you to handle that, right? You're not about to be trifling. That's the favorite. Beautiful black moms everywhere. Trifling is just a golden. You're not gonna get your trifling ass up. You better get your trifling ass off this couch. If I'm gonna make you somebody's husband, this is not the way. Okay, you better get out. So again, I think that what you said is never let yourself be weaponized to take down your own people, and we hold each other and ourselves accountable by ourselves in a different way, because that is a family meeting. Okay, it's some shit that can be said in your house by your family, but if somebody else walked in with their muddy ass shoes on and walked in your refrigerator telling you what y'all should be doing, bro, I'm about to shoot you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that would be my take on that.
That's it. And this has been one of the most energetic and one of the most favorite broadcasts that I've done, Charles, and I should not have waited so long to have you on, but I definitely want to have you back. I want us to think about some projects that you and I can do together as well, because I have a lot of respect and love for you. You talk a lot about, your respect and love for me, and I want you to know that that's mutual. I'm very proud of you, very proud of what you have accomplished. I love the fact of how you pour into other young people coming up now. You literally pour so much into these young people and let them know what's possible. To me, that's the work. That's what's real. And I just really appreciate that about you. So proud of what you're doing at Energy Converters. We have dropped all the links into the comments of how people can support you. We also want to let people know that they can come back here on Citizen Ed's platform and see Jaden's show on Fridays at 4 p.m. So make sure y'all come and check that out. We got Gen Z in the building, so they are having their own youth-led conversations, and we're really proud about that. Thanks for that connection to Charles, and so we appreciate that. So with that, everybody, this is.
Hey, you froze a little bit.
Okay, you hear me now?
I'm so proud of Jaden. Yeah, but I'm just so proud of Jaden. Jaden is a shining energy converter, and he's gonna be amazing. And that kid has my support for the rest of his life. I love that dude. And I'm not his teacher. These are not my students. He is a partner. We are partners in work. I did not sign up to be a teacher. That's not what I want to do. I build partners in work. So, and he's amazing, and he wherever he is because of him, not me.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Charles. This has been Building Power today. Join me next week on Building Power, same place, same time. And Chris Stewart, the CEO of Brightbeam, will be my guest. So we will see you all next week. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.